Welcome everyone to the Full Spectrum series. My name is Nick Valentino. I am an assistant director in the Hajim School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and I am your host for the series. This is the third year of the Full Spectrum series where we invite guests to discuss and explain their fields in an effort to inform and educate prospective and current students, parents, and alums on the problems that engineers and computer scientists are trying to solve. Today we've brought in someone who is an expert in the undecided student and or students who are struggling with which engineering might be right for them. Our guest today is Dean Alvin Lomibao. Dean Lomibao earned his undergraduate and master's degree from the University of Rochester and is the Hajim School's Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Studies. Dean Lomibao, thank you for your time. I know there is no slow season in the Hajim Dean's office, so I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Nick. I'm happy to put aside time to meet with you and our prospective and current students.
So one of my favorite things is speaking with students who are interested in engineering, but they don't know where to start, or they don't feel like a really close affinity with one of the engineerings, or they have multiple, there's overlap. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is like and what are some of the options for students who are not entirely certain of which engineering is right for them?
Sure. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to respond to your question with a PowerPoint presentation, everyone's favorite form of currency. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation prepared. It's really broadly talking about exploring engineering. And actually, before I even get to that, for the benefit of prospective students in particular, I'll start with a big picture about what you get out of University of Rochester education. Being a part of the University of Rochester means that you get the intellectual excitement and access to a vast array of opportunities of a major research university, as well as the intimacy of a great residential liberal arts college. So what that means is that students who come here have access to the entire university, and they'll take advantage of that by taking classes within the college, arts and sciences, and the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. They'll take classes at the Eastman School of Music. They'll participate in research at the School of Medicine and Dentistry, or the Laboratory for Laser Energetics, or they'll take opportunities at the Simon Business School, Warner School of Education, Memorial Art Gallery, Center for Entrepreneurship, or River Campus Library. So students really have full access to the full complement of the university. And they do take advantage of all those experiences as well. As a refresher for our current students and to introduce prospective students as well, I have one slide on the Rochester Curriculum. The components of the Rochester Curriculum, it starts with introductory writing. So it's also known as the primary writing requirement. We have no required subject areas outside of writing. Each student must fulfill the college's primary writing requirement, which is typically done by completing a semester-long writing course in either the fall or spring semester of their first year. There's the major. So each student must decide on at least one major, and generally that decision is made at the end of students' sophomore year through a formal major declaration process. The major will fall into one of three big divisions or buckets of intellectual study: the arts and humanities, the social sciences, and the natural sciences and engineering. And then finally, we have what are called divisional requirements or clusters. So through the Rochester curriculum, we want students to gain a level of competency in each of the divisions. So for that end, the college came up with what is called a cluster. A cluster is a set of pre-approved courses that give focused study to a particular subject. So a major, it achieves the same outcome, but in usually about 10 to 16 courses, while a cluster is just 3 courses. So it gives you a focused introduction to a particular area, but just not to the same extent that you would expect of a major. And students will need to complete up to 1 cluster in each division where the major does not fall. So going back to your original question, what do we do with these students who are thinking about designing their own major or are undecided about what they want to study when they get here? I will go through a few options that we offer in the Dean's Office, but really more broadly, these are both inherently exploratory processes. And by exploration, I specifically mean that students will want to be intellectually curious. We'll want these students to take a variety of courses, perhaps even shopping, what we call shopping in the college. They can do that in the first few weeks of the semester. And we find that departments and programs at Rochester do not all have analogs at the high school level. And so it really is incumbent on the student to get out of their comfort zone and find these areas and take courses of interest. It also means having a growth mindset. So we find that, we believe that talent can be developed, that hard work can pay off, and planning can be important. And then finally, it means that students need to be willing to try things out. And that means having some level of vulnerability, having some level of experiential inclination, a willingness to fail perhaps, but also a resilience to realize that they might try something out and it might not work out. To be successful, we also think that guidance is a big component of that as well. We want students to be talking with other people, which could include academic advisors, career advisors, faculty. That could also mean peers. It could mean older siblings and cousins, parents, other UR alumni. And then finally, part of that journey is building confidence in yourself. A fundamental premise of the Rochester curriculum is that it's flexible and interest-driven. That means that students make many choices to formulate their academic plans and decide on subjects they wish to explore. So that gives students a level of freedom and autonomy. So there's the latitude to study what you love, what you want, potentially expand the minimum requirements to include minors or certificates or second majors. And this level of exploration applies to co-curricular experience as well. So we think that that's really important. So I'll talk about those two programs again, where the engineering science major and the interdepartmental engineering majors. I'll talk about the program requirements for each of those. I'll go into a little bit of what students can do if they're undecided on a major, and end with some things that all students can be thinking about. So the engineering science major is a flexible degree that is for students who wish to broaden their learning horizons across the disciplines in the liberal arts. The Bachelor of Arts provides a strong background for students who wish to pursue careers in technical sales, public service, management, or entrepreneurship, for example. Its mission is to educate students who are able to develop and convey solutions to multidimensional problems which require scientific, technological, global, and social perspectives. The curriculum does have some depth in engineering, but also prioritizes depth in the humanities and social sciences. The heart of the course of study is creating students who are more technologically literate while also allowing them to pursue interests in other fields. The Bachelor of Arts degree provides a broad foundation in the sciences and associated mathematics that underlie engineering, such as mechanics, electricity and magnetism, fluid and thermodynamics, computational analysis, circuits, and chemistry. One of the great things about the engineering science program is its flexibility, which means we've been able to create tracks or focus areas that students can choose to specialize in if they so desire. This is usually done through careful selection of clusters, minors, and electives. These courses would lead to a more in-depth understanding of a particular topic and possibly a minor. Notice the word optional is highlighted here. Students are not required to follow particular tracks, though they are able to. Sample schedules for all of these focus areas is listed on our website. So at a glance, the engineering science major does have foundational courses in calculus and the natural sciences. There is flexibility with core courses, though some of those courses are kind of designated for the student to take. There's a level of flexibility in choosing the upper elective, the upper level courses for the major, those major electives in the upper level writing. And it is possible for students to complete a complementary major or minor. Whereas the engineering science major focuses on engineering as applied to arts and sciences, the interdepartmental engineering program requires more technical courses and technical sequencing of courses that achieve a student's educational objectives. We do have a number of sample programs, much like the engineering science major, where students are able to, the purpose of the interdepartmental, I'm just going to start this section over again. Sorry, Gotham. It's after this.
That's what he's here for, though. This is
I know.
I got them.
I got them. I had those two out of order and I was totally
That's what I mean. That's so much better about doing it this way too, where we can, you know, retake and re-go.
I was a little bit happy that we were going to push this a little bit because I still had that cough at the beginning of the, like right when classes were starting.
Yeah,
And I was like,
it
it was going to be like, if I restart a sentence, if I start coughing and then restart a sentence, I was going to have to be like, Gotham, you're just going to have to like.
Yeah, list 25 hours on one video.
Yeah, and coughing is like 20 of those areas.
Right. Well, I hope you enjoy this, Gotham. When do you see this?
All right.
All right, yeah, just let me know when you're ready.
So whereas the engineering science major focuses on engineering as applied to arts and sciences, the Interdepartmental Engineering program requires more technical courses and technical sequencing of courses that achieve the students' educational outcomes. Recent technological, economic, and social developments have significantly extended the range of, I actually like this. Sorry, Gotham, we're gonna have to do this part over again. Okay. Whereas the engineering science major focuses on engineering as applied to arts and sciences, the Interdepartmental Engineering program requires more technical courses and technical sequencing of courses that achieve the student's educational objectives. In this case, the student has to really think about what area of engineering they want to study that isn't really available through our existing programs of studies or majors at the university. But what this really allows students to do is figure out the courses that they want to take and put them together in a way that makes sense to what they want to do after graduation. So broadly, the curriculum does require a level of preparation, a technical preparation in sciences and math. But really the big piece that differentiates this major from the engineering science major are these pieces called sequences of technical or scientific courses. Each sequence has 3 courses with no more than 1 at the introductory level. And there are 2 advanced courses that fall into that as well. So the student will have to identify these technical sequences that are related to a theme. This major actually as well does require a senior thesis or senior design capstone component, which is different from the engineering science major. So again, like the engineering science major, there are some sample IDE programs. So for example, a student could choose to major in robotics and have some technical sequences, have 1 technical sequence in digital electronics, a 2nd technical sequence in material science, and then a technical sequence in artificial intelligence, and in each of those sequences, take 3 courses that are related to that theme. And then finish that set of sequences with a senior capstone project. So again, at a glance, this major does require training in math and the natural sciences, physics and chemistry. There is 1 natural science elective. There are core courses, which include at least 1 computational analysis course and 8 courses in engineering, which can overlap with the technical sequences. There's a capstone project, and there's upper level writing with this major as well. And similar to the flexibility allowed in the engineering science major, the Interdepartmental Engineering major does allow students to complete a complementary minor such as that in statistics. And then just to compare the 2 majors side by side, really the purpose of this slide is to really help students think about, is one of these options the best option for them in their case? There is a lot that is common between the 2 majors, but again, the Interdepartmental Engineering major is really to explore the space between the majors that we currently have, whereas engineering science allows students to have that technical background and apply it to a discipline in the arts and sciences. Some students have asked about career outcomes, so I'm happy to give this report for students for the past 5 years that we have data for. About 61% of our students report that they're working, and about 24% of our students go on to complete another degree after graduating from the U of R. I have here a list of employers, job positions, industries, and functional areas that the jobs move into, or the students move into. You can see that a lot of the job positions really are technical positions. So when I say earlier that we prepare you to have the technical know-how, but in an applied setting. We were, great to see that this was the outcome. And then finally, with regard to outcomes, the preparation that being in the engineering science or interdepartmental engineering program gives you, it really does give you the flexibility to go into business or continue on in education, or even put you on the path to completing a law or medical degree. So we think that that is great. I'm going to move on now to undecided engineering and applied sciences. And to start this section off, I'll start with a basic definition of engineering. This comes from the National Academy of Engineering, and they say that engineering is the creation of technical solutions in the interest of humanity and society. The definition has three main components. The first is creation, which really tells us that engineering is about making, inventing, or problem solving. The second is technical solutions, which is to distinguish engineering outputs from that of journalism or music or others, which is also creation. And then finally, there's in the interest of humanity and society. Engineers do what we do so that we can make our world a better place for others. For us, as students are going through our programs, we think about progressing through the programs in two parts. Or being a college student, we think about it in two parts. There are the courses, and there's the things that you do outside of the courses. So for students who come to the university in their first and sophomore year, especially in their first year, every student who comes here is assigned a college advisor. And for students who are placed in the Hajim School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, you'll have a faculty advisor and undergraduate coordinator as well. And as you come into the university, your college advisor, your suite of advisors will help you balance foundational knowledge with exploratory courses. And what we see between all of the majors is that there are courses that are common between majors. And so graphically, they look very similar to this diagram that I have below. Students will take an introductory engineering or applied science course. They'll take 2 semesters of math. They'll take 2 semesters of science. They'll take the primary writing requirement, which I've talked about before. And then there's space for electives. And then certainly, depending on the major that you have, that will really dictate which of those courses will fit into the slots that are taken. So, the math that are taken for the engineering majors is usually calculus, and for students in computer science, that math course is usually discrete math. Most students will take physics, and some of the majors will take chemistry as well. And in addition, I do want to highlight that we do have a suite of 1 and 2 credit first year seminars for students that can help them transition to the college study. Okay, I want to spend some time on this slide, which is really thinking about supplementing the classroom learning. So we've talked about I know Nick, you and I have talked about this before, but we really do think that it's important for students to kind of amass a suite of experiences that can really help them, tell their story. And for a lot of it, it is related to career exploration. A lot of students will conduct research or go on internships that are really aligned to what they want to do in terms of career exploration. But there might be other kinds of experiences as well that can help a student identify what area of engineering they want to go into, or different sectors, if they want to do private sector versus public sector, or if they want to work for government. Some of these things are just for fun. Sometimes various clubs or student organizations, they can be aligned with career exploration, but we do have also a knitting and crocheting club that's really, it might be just for fun. So we have a lot of different things that students can do outside of those courses that really can help them blow off steam. It can help them network. It can help them think about career preparation. There's a lot that students can do, and we really do find that students are able to do many of the things listed on the screen. All right, I'm going to pivot now to thinking about ways to choose your major. And so if students who are undecided, right, you'll be exploring, you'll be taking a number of different courses, perhaps you're meeting other students, you're exploring through different clubs or student employment, you're trying to figure out what you want to do in order to choose your major. When I started to put this slide together, I really started to think that there were 2 components of choosing your major. One is introspection. So thinking to yourself, what do I do well? What are my current hobbies? What am I already doing? what do I want to be doing? What's my calling? Are there populations that I'm particularly connected to? I think putting those kinds of pieces together can be one way that students are able to help guide what you want to do with your major. And then, of course, there is a second piece that's talking to people, and this can be, folks who know a lot more. So faculty in a field can be really helpful. At the university, we have this great technology called the Melior Collective, where students are able to meet other alumni. Nick, you and I serve as advisors, but there are a host of other advisors on campus. There are also well-meaning family members and upper-class students that students can talk to think about choosing their major. And then I think finally, especially for students who are undecided, having one or multiple backup plans is really important. Sometimes classes don't work out, or majors don't work out, or you didn't realize that X major had so much more calculus than you were really prepared to take on. So having backup plans is really important. And then quickly, these are, just through experience, some of the ways that I've seen students try to select a major, and just some things that I don't think work out usually. But yeah, usually, choosing a major should be done intentionally. It should be done based on your interests and your strengths, and not necessarily based on external pressures or factors. But talk to your advisor, and maybe some of these conversations you need to have with yourself or with others to help rule in or rule out majors or other courses that might be good for you.
The easiest major is a conversation that I've had quite a bit. And I found that the most effective way is to find easy, right? Are you talking about fewer tests or papers, or a lab component? Like, what does easy mean to you? And also, how does this tie into your interests? And I think that I'm glad you highlighted that first, because ultimately it shapes the mindset where your interest is going to guide you for the most part. Yes, you always take courses that you aren't 100% in love with, even in your stated major, but what is easy can also mean what are you most interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to pivot the conversation. So ultimately, students do need to choose a major, and we are here on behalf of the Hajim School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So I do have highlighted here the list of majors that we offer through the Hajim School. Ultimately, though, Nick, you and I both work with students who end up starting in one of the engineering major or one of the Hajim majors and then transitioning into something else. So I do have listed here some of the common majors that students will choose in the School of Arts and Sciences. Again, for just as a reminder, the process for major declaration is usually done at the end of students' sophomore year with a major declaration form, submitting that directly to the department. All right, there are a few other ways to frame your learning that I want to highlight. The College Competencies lists 7 areas that we believe students develop while engaging in all areas of the university, both inside and outside the classroom. It's not a required checklist of experiences you need to accumulate over 4 years, and it's likely you won't achieve mastery in all of these areas before you graduate. Rather, these are some areas that we think we at the college embed in the work that we do and the experiences that you will have that will add to your personal development. The grand challenges for engineering were announced in 2008 as the biggest goals for improving life in the 21st century. And we're one of about 50 schools across the country that have this goal of graduating students who are ready to address some of the most complex, interdisciplinary, and interconnected problems that our society faces. So after identifying a challenge, such as providing energy from fusion, a student must complete 5 program areas. There's a research activity, an interdisciplinary experience, an entrepreneurship experience, a global dimension, and a service learning dimension as well. And once a student completes all 5 of those, they're considered a graduate of the Grand Challenges Scholars Program, and we do a lot of recognition with them at commencement. And then finally, the last frame I have here is our certificate in user experience and user-centered design. The university offers a number of certificate programs. Certificates are taken in conjunction with majors. So they don't replace majors. They're meant to supplement a student's chosen area of study and name a set of coherent courses taken outside the major. So the certificate in user experience is comprised of a set of courses around this area. And in short, I would define user experience and user-centered design to be the process used by designers that result in products that are meaningful and provide relevant experiences to users. This involves the entire design of process, including research, ideation, prototyping and testing, and presenting. So through the certificate, students take 7 courses in computer science, engineering, psychology, statistics, art, and design, and then apply their learning to a capstone project. So for students who are undecided or are thinking about the engineering science or the interdepartmental engineering majors, what are my next steps? I think one piece that I really want to get out there is that if you're listening to this presentation, whether as an accepted student or you're currently a student here, you've already made it. You're already here. We believe in your ability to succeed. And we really think, we hope that you'll be able to cross the finish line with your diploma. What not all of you will have is a given name to your strengths, abilities, and interests, your inclinations, and your dislikes. But giving names to those things can help you identify where you need to continue more exploration, or it can help you identify your blind spots or identify those things that are, rule out particular areas that you don't want to do. At the University of Rochester, we do have what we refer to as the community of advising resources, which includes folks from the university community who will play an influential role in your personal and professional development. I am a college advisor. I'm part of the community of advising resources. I think it's important to get to know these folks. And while they might not have all the information that you need, by getting to know them, you have access to their network of people as well. And then finally, ultimately your next step is to choose a major. You have to do that, but don't be afraid to get it wrong. We do find that about 25% of our first-year students do change their major in their first year. So it's okay to get it wrong, to iterate, to choose something, explore it for a little bit, and then realize you don't like it and move on to something else. So that kind of hopefully answers your question, Nick. The one thing I do want to highlight here is that we did kind of go through the create your own major options in the Hajim School. There's a complementary create your own major process in the School of Arts and Sciences that leads to a Bachelor of Arts degree. So students are able to create an interdepartmental major there as well. So I've left the link there for students or others to find out more about that process.
So I really like the idea of coming to a different point as an undecided or student is unsure about this. I wanted to ask you, I think that a lot of our undecided students, we have students who have a hard time articulating why they think that they're interested in something, or maybe they're a bit introverted and just aren't really good at expressing why they're really interested in a major, versus the other side of the spectrum. We have students who are like, I want to save the world and I want to do it in so many ways, but I don't know how to get started in the first semester. So can you talk about how the first semester coursework puts you in a position to change to another major within the Hajim School? Like how does it work in terms of the X's and O's of a student having to commit to these courses and then being in a position to switch to something else?
Sure. So I'll start with very broadly. I'll go back to this slide and really tell folks that this prototype of taking an intro course, taking 2 math courses, taking 2 science courses, writing course, that really is the blueprint for all of our majors. And again, each of our majors offers an introductory engineering course. So and there really is no penalty for folks. So if you start in introductory electrical and computer engineering and you want to switch to audio and music engineering, that should be pretty fluid if you want to make those changes, or to any of the other ones. A lot of the majors don't necessarily require that you have the introductory course in that major to graduate. But again, the math courses they'll be the same across both majors. Same thing for physics. Most of the majors require physics.
And I like that you refer to them as foundational courses, because it does make sense for if we can all be assured that relatively they're starting with the same relative coursework. The fluidity of changing to a different major shouldn't seem so much because you've completed the requisite stuff, regardless of what your intentions are. Yeah. I wanted to ask you in terms of, so what do you think a misconception that an undecided student might have, or what are one of the more popular things that undecided students are worried about in their first semester?
No, you want to ask that again?
In terms of our students, where we have a lot of students who are undecided, what do you think that undecided students are most worried about, or what do you think the thing that they a misconception that they may have when they start in their path towards engineering?
I'll say that one of the things that I see with a lot of students is that they are very ambitious, and there's a sense that they need to be doing everything all at once as soon as they get here. And I think there is opportunity if students want to accumulate a lot of experiences. I think there's definitely opportunity for that. I'll go back to this slide here that really, students are able to do a lot of the different things that are listed on this slide. Students might have multiple student employment experiences, or being a teaching assistant for multiple courses. But being a teaching assistant for any course, for example, you can't do that until at least the second semester that you're here. I think a lot of students might come and they want to do everything, really as soon as they get here. And I think what's really important in that first semester is making that transition, right? A lot of our students, especially coming out of high school that might have had some restrictions due to COVID, coming to a new environment and learning how to learn and be around others, and that's going to take some transition as well. So I think students are able to really dabble in a lot of the things on the slide, but it can't be all in the first 6 weeks that you're here on campus.
So do you think that when we're talking about like students bringing in advanced placement credit or A-level credits, that what you've shown on the slide gives them more of an ample opportunity to sort of figure it out when they get here, because they've already fulfilled some of the first semester courses?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think to an extent, yes. I think if a student comes in and they've taken, AP Calculus or AP Physics or AP Chemistry, and they're a biomedical engineering major, that really does put them, 3/4 of a semester ahead of other students. And if they wanted to tie biomedical engineering with public health, that might, just make the door a little bit wider for them to start exploring that minor in public health. I think that's an example of a way that students would be able to use those courses to make space for them to be doing something else.
So what type of conversations between the college advisor and the student and the faculty advisor, how do those conversations differ with when a student is coming, especially in their first year?
Yeah, I think I'd like to think about it as the faculty advisors and the undergraduate coordinators are definitely going to be content experts in that field. So if a student were to come to me and say, what's the difference between, wireless signals and, other kinds of ECE related hardware, I would tell them, I really don't have any idea. Please talk to your faculty advisor about something like that. We really want students to be going to their departmental advisors to get that information that's really about, what research is available in my field. What do the jobs look like after I graduate? Can you connect me to alumni who might be interested in wireless communication? Those are, if students have questions about the particular information that is within a major, the departmental folks are going to be the best. Whereas the college advisor, one of the descriptors that I really like about the college advisor is that the college advisor is like your principal navigator, right? They will help you navigate the campus. If you're interested in a global experience and you're not really sure how to get that started, well, we'll know who the folks are in the Center for Education Abroad who you should be talking to in order to start looking at some of the opportunities that are available to you based on your interests. If you're interested in community engagement, but you're not really sure, what opportunities are available, again, we can, help you get you connected to the office that does that, and help you explore the suite of opportunities that are available through their office. So it isn't necessarily, the students really shouldn't be going this alone. If students have questions about, navigating any sort of policy around, what's it like to be a student here? I've, transfer credit, or I need to take a 1 week leave of absence for an illness, or I don't know, any other kinds of academic policy related questions, they should be able to come to college advisors. We'll be able to navigate them and help them say, yes, I'm able to answer this question. Yes, let me redirect you to another office on campus that's the expertise on that. Or yes, let me refer you to the academic department so that they can answer those kinds of questions as well.
I have one more question, and it's an advising related one. In your experience, I wanted to ask you, how do you think advising has changed since the time you were in undergraduate and until now? Like, what do you think the principal difference of the students have been in the last few years? And like, I think a lot of them are very global. I think a lot of them are really thinking about, how do I save the world? How do I fix large scale problems? Do you think advising has changed since you were an undergrad, and if so, what way?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's interesting just because, when I was going through my program, I really saw, well, I mean, number one, we have this new model, right? The college advising model is new. For students of my vintage, we didn't have that. We just had the faculty advisor in their department, and they were really the ones who, helped us navigate, if I'm ill and I need to miss class for a week, or I have transfer credit, or, there's a death in the family and I need to leave campus for a while. They were the ones who we would hope would be able to give us those answers. Whereas now we have this dedicated professional, the college advisor, who can help us, who is that person who we can go to is the point of contact. I think the nature of the student is different as well. I think students bring to campus stronger ties from back home, or more complex home situations, or financial situations perhaps. And it really is incumbent on the college advisor it really is incumbent on the student to know their resources on campus so that they can navigate whatever difficulty that they have while they're here. I'll say another way that the student has changed since I was a student is that I feel like mental health is a much bigger, there's much more awareness about the need for good mental health practices. And so I think, for students now, there's such a suite of ways that students can get, online help, or there are apps, or if they want group, health training, or if they want one-on-one help from our health promotion office or our university or counseling center, they can get that one-on-one help also.
And I think your point of the move to the college advising model, where you have the same person, being able to navigate, does make these things like mental health less siloed, right? So it's not like, well, head down to UCC and I hope it all works out. We can say, hey, listen, these are your resources. These are the things that you can access right now. These are the things that'll take time. And for prospective families watching, I always like the idea that you have somebody here that you can contact, to try to figure out which is the best way to problem solve as a group. So I think that with advising and the changes that we've seen, and I know I said this was my last question, but I had another one. In terms of navigating your time outside of the classroom for things like research and pursuing research experiences at the college, can you talk a little bit about what that looks like in terms of, students having access to labs or research positions, or does it start with a conversation? Is it informal? Is it formal? Can you talk about your experience with research and with students in advising?
Yeah, I think that I think we should be able to start the conversation in multiple ways. Mm-hmm. And I think my personal experience was, I had a conversation with my advisor, and they said, start looking at the faculty over at the medical center, because they don't get as many inquiries from undergraduate students as the faculty on the River campus do. So I just reached out to a faculty member and I said, hey, I looked at your website. I tried to read some of your papers, but I wasn't up to snuff to be able to understand what was going on. But can I have just like an informational, chat with you to figure out what your research is and if I might be interested in joining your lab? Thankfully, they said yes. So, I can't say for certain if, all students have it that easy, but usually it is. Usually I do hear success stories from students that they're like, hey, I just reached out to, 1 or 2 or 3 faculty members and I heard a positive reply, within that 1 or 2 or 3 asks. There is also a central office for undergraduate research. They offer a central service where faculty can upload projects that they want students to work on, and students can just kind of browse through, just like if you go to a restaurant, there's just like a menu of options that you're interested in. There's that way. Part of it might also be word of mouth, right? Like you could be, if you happen to know if you're a first year student and you happen to meet a senior through a student organization, for example, they might say, hey, I'm in this lab, I'm having a great time, and it sounds like you might also be interested in my area. Why don't, you can reach out to my faculty member. So I think we purposely try to have it so that there are different ways for students to start doing research here.
I like the way that you phrase that when you're talking about taking a dive, especially as a first year student, into looking at faculty research. And I like to say this a lot to advisees, that you're only supposed to know as much as you do now, right? The expectation is that you're going to be completely versed in this, but you have to be able to explain why you think that you're interested in this, right? You don't need to have all the technical parts down, but if you can understand why you're somehow drawn to this, that the person you're talking to has been, and maybe has been for the last 25 years, been trying to solve this problem or think about these things, and just the interest alone might be enough to continue the relationship further.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the strengths also of us, again, of us being a small liberal arts school, is that our faculty do have this culture of teaching and learning. So, a lot of our faculty are recognized for the great teaching that they do, and mentoring, and willingness to meet students where they are. So I think that, it's very rare for students to say, I had this, really poor experience with a faculty member. Much more, they were able to say, yeah, I had a great experience with a faculty member. And yeah, those are the stories that we like hearing.
Well, Dean Lomibao, thank you for your insight and spending this time with us. I think it's really important to be able to give a light for those who are not, feel like they don't have it all figured out right now, or even part of it. And I think this is really helpful.
Great talking with you.
Great talking with you. The Full Spectrum series is now online with other areas such as biomedical, chemical, optical engineering, and much, much more. Please check out the Hajim School Facebook page, the Instagram and YouTube channel for these videos. Please feel free to share it. On behalf of the Hajim School, we'd like to thank you for watching, and we hope to see you soon.